Hello and welcome to Meet Your Inspiration podcast with Meri and Rich. Here we're talking about inspiration, motivation, and empowerment. Our guests are ordinary people who became extraordinary, and with sharing their stories, we want to encourage you to become the person you want to be and to go beyond your dreams.
This morning we're back at our favourite venue, Hempstead House, which is here in Sittingbourne. And it's a lovely hotel. We've been here many times now, and I'm sure many of you are used to it, but we would certainly recommend you come. We know that it's great food, great places to meet people, amazing hotel rooms, and the warmest of welcome and hospitality is definitely guaranteed. We'd like to mention is What's On in Kent. What's On in Kent is an amazing app which you can download for your phone, and you can find out all about the different events, hotels, places to eat, different events throughout the year here in Kent. So please do download that app and use it if you can. Now, this morning, we'd like to meet our amazing friend, Leigh. Leigh is the world's networking queen. When we met her at a networking event, she is absolutely amazing lady. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome and thank you very much. That's finally, thank you. We found the date.
Yeah, we did.
I like to always say how we met our guests, and I love our meeting because, as everybody remember, we had an incredible guest, Mel, a few episodes before, and Mel was talking a lot about Leigh. And we managed to go on the event organized by What's On in Kent, and Leigh Anne was there. So I was looking for this woman, and you can't miss this big smile, the hair, the style that I absolutely love it. And this is it. I'm not a person that's usually going to go and straight away cut off someone. But I was waiting here to finish your conversation, and I was like, this is not me, isn't it? Compared to my first network event, it's nothing to do with me. But you were so warm, welcoming, such a smiling, lovely lady. So yes, and I'm so glad that today we are here, and you're gonna take us through your story and to see what we're gonna learn from you today. We're gonna take you quite back. Can you tell us what happened once you finished secondary school, let's say, back then? What path did you take? What was back then your thoughts and what you wanted to follow? Oh, I wasn't expecting this.
I wanted to, when I left secondary school, become a chef. I've always loved cooking. But we didn't have enough money for me to go to college. And I needed to go out and carry on working. If I wanted to stay with mum and dad, obviously they needed support to get a grown woman down. So I had worked in a pet shop. I love animals. Anyone that knows me.
We've got dogs.
So you got what I think is a human being. He always loved animals, and my sister worked in a local pet shop. She got me a job there when I was, like 13, 14. I was very young. Absolutely loved it. And I had the conversation with Vic, the owner, and said, I want to go to college, but we can't afford for me to go. Can I have full-time work? And he said, absolutely. I'd worked as a Saturday girl up until then. So I worked there for quite a few years, absolutely loved it, and went to work for a company called SCATS, Agricultural Trading Society, in the equine department. I used to do little bit horse riding, so that I just was in their equine department. So anyone that came in and needed anything horsey related, I was there to help with. But it was on a commercial scale, so them buying modern saddles or different supplements for horses. And that was good. That was kind of a natural evolution from the pet shop, which I loved being around animals. And then like probably a lot of people, I just had different opportunities present themselves, and I kind of I was at that age chasing money really. I've never really been a career-driven person, but of course, as you get older and you think, I
need a means.
I like a nice car. I think I need to earn a bit more money. So I went to just various different jobs until I was about 24, I moved to Scotland. I was going to travel the world, and I met my boyfriend at the time. He was Scottish, and I said, right, I'm off backpacking. Well, do you want to come? And he wasn't He wasn't sure. He wasn't sure. He had commitments here, 2 children. So I saved like crazy, and about 3 months before I was going backpacking, he said, if I come with you around the world, when we come back, would you consider moving to Scotland? That was where he wanted to go back to England, which is where his children were. And yeah, okay, you know, maybe.
Go for it.
Why not? Let go. So that's exactly what happened. We travelled. That was wonderful. Came back, moved up to Scotland, much to my mum and dad's sadness. But they've given, you know, they armed me with the courage of being adventurous. So I went up there, and Meri and I had spoken about wanting to study, and that was kind of my opportunity. So I did consider catering again. But by then, I was quite aware that I loved like psychology, philosophy, social sciences, why people behave. And I went and did a degree in Inverness College.
Wow. Psychology was your...
Yes.
That was the study.
That was the study, yeah. So, and in Scotland, it's not classed as a science, it's classed as an art. So I got an A in that.
Oh, wow. Very good.
The Bachelor of Arts, not science. But and then, so that was good fun, really good fun. I had a bit of a walking accident up there. I used to volunteer for the Kendal Mountain Rescue Team, which sounds really glamorous, but it wasn't. It was really hard.
I bet there's some amazing and interesting experiences even doing that, I would imagine.
Well, I didn't really get to really witness much because I fell down a mountain.
Oh, God.
And you needed their support.
They ended up rescuing me. So I had walking sticks for 4 years after that. I dowager. And that brought its own complications and all the things that come with that.
Yeah.
Just about to finish my degree, came down to the Midlands, which is where my sister lives. And that was more to do with healing and the weather. I mean, the weather was terrible up there. I was in the mountains and it was never warm and sunny. And I just wasn't, it was a really big life.
And dark in the winter as well. Really dark in the winter.
Long winters. And our relationship came to a natural end. We parted on good friends and moved to Warwickshire, in the Midlands, where my sister and I opened a play centre. Am I right to involve from?
Yeah, of course. This is
going on for 30s now, I think, heading towards 30. Yeah. I had a play centre for children.
How this idea came to open this centre?
My sister and I had always wanted to come and work for myself. And I still had that niggling, I want to cook for people. So the play centre had to have a kitchen as a Chatchy Bay area. Lisa, by then, had 2 children, and she was we come from a very hard-working family, very keen to get back into work and be Lisa again, not just mum and wife. So I said, let's have a go at that. And we did that, and that was quite successful. And the only reason why it closed was because my sister's husband was tragically killed, and life just stopped. I won't go down there.
Yeah.
It really was. But I then took time off to help Lisa bring the boys up and be part of their life. And they were still really young, my children. For about 8 years, and obviously I'd come back down to Kent to visit family. Often would come down, and Friday, my mum and dad are still very much together, but my dad would have his Friday nights in the pub playing darts, and then so Dad would text and say, "I know you girls are coming down. Meet me in this pub. We're playing darts tonight on a Friday." So. That's what I did, and I met my husband there.
Wow, amazing!
In the opposite, the opponent, and we asked, and so he's from here as well, and that was lovely. But then he got really poorly, so that was the end of that. So. But towards the end of that relationship, which was amazing, by the way, he's a gorgeous human being, he really encouraged me, and we were talking about this earlier. Yeah. He was really behind me. Why don't you go back to catering? Why don't we do something that you love? Financially okay for a while. Why don't you go and do it?
This is the opportunity.
So, yet again, I didn't do the catering thing. I went and trained as a florist.
Okay.
Like, you know. But at that point, I was really strict vegetarian, really strict. And I didn't know if I had what it took to be a full chef and go through catering.
Because obviously with the meat situation.
Well, it wasn't really handling.
Yeah.
I thought it was having to, you know, you can't give food to people that you haven't tested and tried. Too much salt, not enough pepper.
But have you been vegetarian because you love to the animals, or like just because I've got a friend, her daughter, since she was probably 11 and she could a little bit more to say what she want to eat and no, she became vegetarian and now she's 23, 24 and she's carrying on, but she's such an animal lover. She said that was the first thing that's why she can't eat. I mean, everybody got different.
It's a funny little story, really, and it stuck with me for I was 5. My mum's got Italian heritage, so everything that we had before I went to school was cooked from scratch, always. Okay, yes, I'm nearly 50, and there probably wasn't that much processed food around anyway. But I remember my first day at primary school being given fish fingers. Now, already by then, my mum knew I loved animals, but we never had dialogue on what this food was. It's just a lovely meal. Yeah, because you don't get served pig, you get served pork.
Yes.
You know? In your child, you don't associate that.
No.
So when the canteen lady told me what it was, I was like, fish don't have fingers. And if they do, they're swimming around now with no fingers. And I just remember thinking it was a processed food.
Yeah.
I didn't know, and I hadn't really know what it's.
Wow.
And I wasn't hugely traumatized by that, you know. But I remember thinking, oh, that's really not very nice. So my mum did say after that, for about a year, she would put food, meat on my plate. And I just she never ever made an issue of it, ever. There was never an issue surrounding it. And after about a year of me not wanting to eat, I just used to eat the veg. And in the end, she didn't give it to me.
Yeah.
I never asked. So the next 30 years, I didn't.
Wow.
So I'm a pescatarian now. I do eat fish.
Kind. Yeah.
When I was about 16, I started eating tuna mayonnaise and Japanese potatoes, which I loved. And that was it, you know, what I do eat. So, I guess I end up, you know, got to look, they're all God's creatures, aren't they? You know,
exactly.
You go to eat them and kill them. Try to eat them all. All of it. To down. And
So floristry.
How did this come?
Yeah.
No way.
Well, actually, I looked into options of catering, culinary school or floristry, and there wasn't anything close by. And by then, my husband was quite poorly, so I knew I couldn't travel too far. I had to keep that in mind. So I was living in Faversham at the time, and the floristry course came up, and again, so I'd always tickled for when I was young, and loved all of that, quite creative. So I went and did that, and ironically, actually, my husband at the time worked for Chris Bishard, who owns the company that I work for now. And he found out that obviously Chris was poorly. He obviously knew that because he was working for him. He found that I'm qualified in floristry. And he said, I own the Dunkirk Business Park, which is just outside Faversham. He said, I can offer you a tiny little cupboard, but it'll be your business address. If you want that as your business address, and obviously all the opening bank accounts, then you have to get registered somewhere.
Yeah.
And ironically, sort of 15, 17 years ago, that's where my floristry career started, evolved into wedding floristry, which then evolved into, finally, I owned a tea room in Bridge, which was half a tea room and half a floristry shop. So I was
sounds amazing.
That's a good combination.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Wartime themed tea room.
Oh wow, even better.
So we all had the outfits on, the 1950s little polka dot dresses and little.
And all this was your idea. Oh my gosh!
I was living the dream, but I worked far too hard. I was working 7 days a week.
Well, the thing is with any business like that, when it relies on you. It's your business, your passion, your everything about it.
I was a battery pack.
And I can imagine the way you are, it would just keep going until you got stopped.
Yeah, well, COVID made me stop. And it wasn't until I stopped that I thought, wow.
There is another life.
Wow.
Yeah, but you wouldn't change anything, I assume, back then. Or if you go back, would you change something and you think, like, probably I should do?
Yeah, because
What are the lessons you learned from all this?
especially if I carry over now into the M1 career, is being, you know, but not that anyone's going to take any advice from me, but if they wanted to, I would say really have the courage to not be the one in control. I always used to think I'll do it because it will be done how I need it to be. But you know what? Cleaning the toilets is it doesn't have to be that you on the floor. Yeah, but that was my standard.
Yeah.
So I tried to do everything, and I never took time out one day a week to say, I'm not that owner anymore. Yeah. I'm a business development manager. Yeah. I'm going to go and tell people what I do. Yeah. I'm going to try to alter my menu. I'm going to try to change my prices. I'm going to try to get the best revenue in as I can because I was maximum output all the time. Mm-hmm. I wasn't always seeing that back. Mm-hmm. And the accountant, and the first year of COVID, I submitted all my accounts all under the mask control and leave it outside in a box. And she phoned and said, "Well done, you've earned £4 an hour last year."
Oh wow.
And that really put it into perspective. Yeah.
And I think so many small business owners, particularly shop, little cafes, florists, probably overheads, hairdressers, probably all in that same boat, sort of really just almost charging the minimum, feeling as if, well, I don't want to charge too much, or I don't want to, and it's really hard, like you say, to delegate sometimes and actually sort of walk away and actually say, okay, well, I'm going to get somebody else, I'm going to get 3 or 4 other people in and to run, and I can step back.
Mistake I made. Absolutely, 100%. If I could go back, that is the one biggest thing I would change. Stop being that person who wants to control everything and think that you are the best person at what you can do, because actually, if you sat down with your staff and found out the roots of what drives them, you can then monopolise on their strengths. Okay, you're really good at accounts. I'm paying somebody to do my accounts. Actually, do you want to do it? I can pay you to do that, or get that person at the end of the day to be that person. Cleaning, catering, logistics. Who doesn't mind going shopping or stock take? I try to do it all, and I'm so, for me, I know it's a different journey for everybody. COVID, for me, it was the best thing what I did. I worked far too hard, far too long, and I definitely.
And I guess at that point, so, sometimes in life we need to stop, and then we need to reflect. And then we need to start again and to build to the next level.
True. It's so true. And I've never really been this one to buy into the little catchphrases that people put around, but now I find myself saying it because I've lived it.
And how that transition came, obviously, from what motivates you from being business owner to go, I would say, sales and marketing, isn't it? Now it's a bit more in this bracket.
So I sold. I ended up. I had no intention of selling floristry and tea room, but I was made an offer on the 2nd September of shutdown to be put.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, maybe then, and I did it. Long story short, and I had a bit of money behind me. I could actually having a bit of time now to just take restock. My mum had been very poorly. My nephew had a new kidney, and I hadn't really seen them. We're from a really wholesome family, and that played a big part in my decision making of selling, and also thinking about my next step, which I still hadn't decided on. But then Chris Bouchard, my current boss, found out that I was straight. I was off. I was having the time of my life for a while. And he came and found me and he said, "Do you want to come and..." I don't know anything about buses and signage. And, he's like, "I don't need you to know about them, but you'll learn that. I need you to come and work for me because I'm into you, and my personality and how I can chat with people and sell things to people." And I said, "Okay, give it a go." I gave it a go for 3 months. And here we are 4 years later.
Very cool, yes. Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can see that. Every time we can see on LinkedIn, we can see on the network events, you're just shining about it. But fair enough, they're doing a great job. And I assume, you feel, do you want to tell us a bit more about that job, about the company a little bit more?
So I think you and I spoke earlier about just that sense of freedom and not being micromanaged, and making the choice of working for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I put myself across as clearly as I could to Chris that, you know, it might not happen, and it might not happen because of me, not because of the job or because of me.
Yeah.
I've got a certain personality that works hard when they know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaks freely and happily about what they're doing, but they have to be enjoying it. And you know, Richard and I had this conversation. If something doesn't, I've been lucky. If something doesn't feel right, you know, I've been lucky enough to be in a position to say, yeah, that's got to the end of that. I've never really subscribed to anything that doesn't make me happy. So I put that across quite clearly. Whenever it stops being good and happy for me, then I'll stop. But I've just gone through this route. So we made the Spice Girls tour bus years ago. I say we, I wasn't employed by SEC at that point, but on the back.
So the buses, so they're the London Route Master buses. So this is what? So they basically refurbished them? The buses?
Well, there's a whole plethora of what we can offer. Brand new buses. Somebody can bring a bus to us, and we can convert it into whatever they need it to be: a training bus, a dance floor, a bar, a catering vehicle, whatever they need it to be. Whether that's one-man band or Coca-Cola and Google, anything that there isn't much that we can't make happen. When people have these ideas. So it's a marketing advertising tool for that company. So they've either got a product that they need to launch, promote, or they're having an event like British Bakery. They operate after about 10, I think, is on the road all the time in London. They're themed, British Bakery, London bus tour themed.
So Spice of Your Life, that was the first bus.
Well, it wasn't our first bus, but it was probably our first bus that people would really
recognise. Yeah.
We had worked with a few big hotels changed by then, and media wasn't like it is now. What Spice Girls tour bus allowed us to do was kind of become liked by an agent in London, and that agent would then represent a multiple larger businesses. So they would say, you know, you need this, okay, there's somebody down in Kent. So no one else really does what we do.
I'll definitely say to people if you can, because I don't know if this can be seen on your website, but on LinkedIn definitely they can see the job you did with Google. Honestly, it's amazing. It's really great. How you wouldn't recognize if you look on the bus from one side what it is. I'm not gonna say what it is, but I'll definitely advise people to check and see, because it was incredible. And me living in Faversham, it's weird because a few times I've seen some of these buses that usually you see in London, but I never told that in my beautiful Faversham they're all done. So it's incredible. And that was when we met with you. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm walking through this place and I never even pay attention what they're doing. So it's again, it's another step that you never know who you meet, what they're doing, and what an incredible job they're doing. But now at the end of last year you did something even better. The great news about the green bus.
Yes. So we're really proud of this. This is another big turning point for us, I think. So, you know, we're quite aware that we're probably going to end up with hydrogen propelled vehicles, but there has to be a stepping stone, and stepping stone is electricity. Now, I know there's a bit of controversy around that, but we have to be on that journey to get to the end, I think. So we are very proud to announce that we are fully involved. It's well underway. We are converting a 1969 Route Master bus from diesel to electricity, the world's first. And we've called it Bombmaster, and he's called Rambo. I don't know why he's called Rambo. But so we are converting that, and we've got some funding. We've self-funded as well, and it's been really interesting so far. ultimately, we would love to roll that out to local councils. And not especially down, well, in any city outside London. People that live in London see route masters all the time. But they're so iconic. Especially. Why wouldn't a council want just one bus? It's electric, going around. You get little Bertie who loves a bus. Yeah. You know, visit your local town, city, support the local economy, and get to have a day out. Beautiful, iconic bus. We've also been on one at some point in our life, but we're so super proud of that. And we're stepping into another project that I'm not sure I can say too much, but so Pelican are on board with us. They've helped fund us. They're an amazing, fast-growing company who are seriously involved on the EV world. But we're toying with tuk-tuks as well, electric tuk-tuks. Wow. So they're great for people that want to advertise or on a slightly smaller scale, more scale. Own the tuk-tuk. It could be converted into a mobile coffee bar. It could be just an advertising tool that gets you don't have to do anything with it. You can buy it without an engine.
I imagine that'd be huge. Because at the moment in London, it's like those tricycles, isn't there? There's crazy tricycles with all those.
Much more classier than that. No, they do their job.
This is how I would say that. I don't like them that much because they are, I don't know, something doesn't
You want everyone to look at you and see that you're going to go past.
Yeah, it does the job, you know. It does. We're talking about it because it's made an impact.
Absolutely.
You agree with what you've seen or not, you don't forget that.
No, you don't.
But the whole, we have to embrace the electricity world, the conversion world. It's part of what we do. And my passion in the company is sustainability, circular, eco, giving back wherever we can. So our wastage is really minimum now. And because we're quite aware that what we do, it historically has a large for carbon footprint, but it doesn't now in our company.
But it's interesting because with a bus, obviously a bus seems to spend most of its time starting and stopping in traffic. And obviously the one thing, and the engines in a bus, because they tend to need a lot of power and torque to be able to move them along. When you've got, 30, 40 people on the bus, so you need a lot of engine power, don't you, to move it along. But the thing is, most of those engines are chucking out loads and loads of fumes, whether they're, like you say, diesel fumes. And obviously it's almost the perfect thing to have electrified, because if it stops, it's not using any power. It only uses a bit of power when it needs to move. And they're only going short journeys generally.
So we're all aware of that. We can't shy away from that now. That is that we have to be responsible for that. That has to stop at some point. And thank God it's going to. We're embracing it with open arms. We love it. And actually, we've sown the seed very minimally. And the feedback from that little bit of information has been amazing. Again, I can't really name one council is all over it.
But you can imagine, because a bus, it's like one. I mean, most buses in London have always been, big hoarding boards for advertising the latest film or latest event at a theatre. But all the different themes buses, like you said. I remember another recent one you had was the Paddington Bear bus. That was one. And then there's another one, the Monopoly bus. And inside it is all the different colours of the Monopoly board. It just, everything just looks fantastic. But the opportunity for any business or council or whatever it is promoting their area, it's just a perfect thing, isn't it? Because you take people on an event or a day out or a picnic or whatever it is. Holiday on the buses is what it's going to be about.
It's going to be the ticket mark. But it's a mobile advertising tool. People, so many sets of eyes get to look at,
of course,
other vehicles. Why not? Why would you?
And especially the double deck.
Oh, correct. Yeah. Even if it was exciting,
of course.
Absolutely. Where's they going to
wedding buses. Hire the wedding bus. It's not branded. It just says for hire.
Your eyes are on.
It's a vehicle that you just don't see often.
No, it's right. Yeah.
It's a very powerful tool. So a bit different work is job, wasn't it?
So one of the things that you do brilliantly is networking. So let's talk about that. What was your the first networking? Let's say, what is the difference? Because lots of us, we talk numerous times here about the imposter syndrome. I'm quite a good example of that on my first one. And obviously comparing to the one I met you, I was obviously now, wow, every day is my place. I know Mel, I know Nick, I know this and that. That's it. I'm going jumping, but still I feel this, I've got these moments, but you are quite confident networker, I would say. How all start? What are the challenges you had in the beginning, probably that you needed to overcome? And
definitely had imposter syndrome. I joined a particular networking group when I was a florist, and I didn't know how to network properly. So I used to go into a room and think I had to sell to those people, and it wasn't quite working, and I felt very uncomfortable. People really like doing the 60 seconds. And for me, and it was probably more to do with me than the actual networking event itself, I came away with like a bad taste in my mouth. It just didn't work. And then I had a break and had the team room. And then when I came on board with SEC, Chris Bishop took me to a few events. And I just felt like an absolute fish out of water. I thought, who is going to want to talk to me? 5 foot tall, I talk too much. I usually waffle. I derail a conversation and go. Didn't know what I was really doing, but I kind of stepped back and watched Chris do it for years. He's only natural. He's just people are he was a tall, Rhodesian guy. He's charismatic. People are drawn to him. Anyway, and then as soon as he tells people what he does, they're like, oh, you either pick someone's interest instantly or you don't. If you don't need a buzz and you don't want to speak to a Rhodesian guy, then you just go networking another side of the room. But I just watched him and took advice and asked questions. And on this one occasion, I was, I had a lovely uniform on, all sign written, and that's all. And I even put this little voice on, and I'm embarrassed to say. And Chris said, "What are you doing?" What's this? I said, "Is this natural?" He went, "No,
Be natural."
I came and found you in your garden that day and asked you to come and work with me. Not for that. I need you to be you. So, and he kind of gave me permission, and he said, just make friends. If they're interested in you, they will ask you what you do. Exactly. You don't have to say, hello, I'm Leigh Anne, I'm a sales manager. Just be...
How you start a conversation, let's say, once you go in a room, and because now in most of the rooms, you know most of the people, I would say. But this wasn't a case of probably always there is someone new. How you start a conversation? What are your tips to do it?
I think the best thing, people, as you can tell, I'm literally taken over the interview. I've spoken mostly.
Well, we're interviewing you.
You're making us.
It happens. We're interviewing you, so you're quite allowed to do that today.
I'd love talking about things I love. But I think the best tip I'd give to somebody is when you introduce yourself, tell me about you. And they go, what do you do? I say, no, you tell me what you do first. And then allow them to tell you what they're doing. And then, so that does a few things. You get to know the person really quickly. They're talking about what they do. So straight away, you can read their body language. You can tell if they love their job. Not everyone does. You can tell if you find out what they do and if it's interesting and is there any correlation in your business. Because at the end of the day, we forget that as lovely as the networking events are, and some of the venues are just amazing. The things I've got to do incredible, but you cannot stop thinking, I'm here for a reason. And there has to be collaboration between people, what you're doing. If I'm speaking to somebody, and I'll give everyone the time of the day, of course, but if they're another, well, we convert buses and we sign write them. I'm not competitive, so that wouldn't make any difference on my competitive scale. But I would think, okay, well, what can I do? So then you say, if ever you're too busy and you've got too much work coming in, you can work. You meet somebody that does what you do, That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Don't be competitive.
No.
You do what you do, and you do it well because you do what you do in
Your way.
Yeah, exactly.
But if they do the same, you say, fantastic. If you've got too much work coming in, let's build a friendship. Let's build a relationship so that you can send me the work. You know, and that's the best answer that you can have.
Yeah, help each other out.
Yeah. And whether that's genuine or not, I come from a very genuine stance. But if you're very competitive and you don't like a competition, if you're an accountant, there's always going to be another accountant in the room.
Of course.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, you know, don't think, oh, I feel I can't talk to the person anymore. Absolutely not. That's your trying to say, well, we also do accounting, but we specialise in this as well. So if you inquiry, let's have lunch, you find out about what I do, and then you send them my way, and I'll do the same for you. You know, and I think that's the key is that being kind and approachable and happy.
Probably to create these relations, because at the end of the day, even us when we're doing the podcast, obviously this is not something that everyone might be interested in. Probably we're going a bit more because we want to learn the people, we want to help them, and it's a mutual thing. But during this journey, we met people that after that we were like, oh, we met this person and you need someone like that, and you just put them in contact. It's not like we are getting something from, or actually we are getting this, that we know these people, and you never know at which point. What last night it was, I've seen connection on my LinkedIn that I worked years ago with, and was talking something about Google. And they wanted obviously to make their profile better or whatever. And my first thing was, oh God, I know the right person. I'm down. And I just messaged them and I said, oh, contact this person. Dan Francis is my first connection on my networking. He was the first guy that I talked with. And he was so lovely. When I was shaking, he was so nice and lovely. And who had thought by then that I will have something to do at the moment? We don't deal with that. But this is it. The life is opening so many doors. And this is how I look on the networking, a bit more like, probably because of what we're doing, but I'm looking a bit more like you connect with people and you open these doors and you never know on which stage, first of all, to who you can help. And how can you implement exactly?
And also you can end up working together. I mean, obviously when you meet someone who's a competitor, in a room, but actually there may be a time in a year's time or 2 years' time, and you actually do become, it happens. Yeah.
People that run on a smaller scale than us, they've got too much work in. We have done exactly that. And they've had too many vehicles coming in and we're just
Well, even if you know, like you're much better than they are, and you're much better qualified, and you've got such a warmer personality, it doesn't matter. But
no, and I think what I've come to realise in the 4 years is that networking, I live and breathe my job. I love it. I don't have children. I live I've got a lovely little life. So work has become quite, and I love this, but work has become a little bit obsessive for me. And that's fine. I've allowed that to happen. I'm controlling my life. But what I've come to realise, and a really good thing to think about when you network, is that in our friendships circles, you probably, if you looked, I've got a small circle of friends, but their common denominator is we're all kind of the same, come from the same place. And then you build that friendship and you go, oh, come and meet Bob and meet Pete, because you both love surfing. But in networking, I used to really differentiate this. I am a florist. I need to find business. This is my business head. And it was too clinical for me. And I look back and realise networking, it really is about just extending your friend circle. You might be feeling,
but some of them become friends.
Exactly. If you're lucky,
we are 1 year in this podcast, and I can easily say that few people became friends. With connection, a few people became new ideas for eventually new projects to be done. It's just incredible journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, doesn't work with everyone and everybody, but there are people that, it's you would never think that, Nick. I mentioned it a few times. First time I met him, I was like, what this guy wants from me? Just
He's like,
yes, the man that everybody in Kent know him. But once he sat here, we had the interview, and after that, honestly, we had different meals, different projects. He's supporting our project now, and it's just evolving something.
Human nature. I think we're too fixed on that's work, that's life. But human nature is that you go through life and you collect friends because you have that connection. That's invariably going to happen when you meet new network.
You do.
You know, you don't expect that you're going to have one. I've got a lovely connection with Leigh Anne Eason.
Yeah.
It just evolves. It's not been forced. It's not been inside. Oh, you fancy lunch? Or, and when you text each other, have a little laugh. It's actually really, if you take it back to the nitty gritty, it's a real simple equation. Just put into practice what you do with the way.
And obviously, the latest event you two create with about Hotel Canterbury, this was incredible, and it was actually an event that you just ask people to come and to help. Yeah, I'm pretty sure probably the idea. None of you expected what will happen, because we've heard that from you, we've heard that from Andrew, from Leila. Everybody was like, we never believed that this will happen, and probably this will be another kind of event that may start to happen every few months, because in a really nice way, you put together different people, because all of you have different networks, support the Kent business again, and help charities.
Yeah.
It's a win-win on all stages.
I cried that day. It was so. I was facing the door. I think you got. I was checking guys actually, and then it was quite at the beginning of started, and I turned around and it was a room full of people, and the atmosphere was something like.
It was. Yeah.
But this is it. Here it is, as you said, when you met Leila, you didn't think what you can do together or how the things can happen.
No.
But are we coming again to the moment that you have to be brave to go, to speak to the people, ask the questions, obviously, and just to live to see how it will happen? Of course, you've got the business side. Is there anything that you would say it's a big mistake, don't do it, like an advice, don't do it when you go on networking event? Is there anything that you think?
Yeah, put a uniform on and push voice like I did.
And just talk, just straight business. I'm whoever, I'm doing this, and
maybe take a little bit of advice from a seasoned networker, I think. Because I think if I'd spoken to somebody that has done the circuit, and then I would have maybe approached it differently. So don't be afraid to just say hello to somebody. Networking is really peculiar in the sense that it goes against our natural flow. So sometimes you'll see a group of people chatting and you find yourself standing there on your own and you go, and tried. I'm really confident, but I find it so uncomfortable walking towards that little circle.
Yeah, because you feel as if, are you being rude, interrupting them?
Yeah, and it's almost as if ever I run a networking event, at the very beginning I would say, embrace everybody. If they're standing on their own, please just welcome them in. There's such a weird feeling standing outside of a little group of people and you don't know how to introduce yourself.
That's tough. That is a very tough thing to do.
Would you agree?
I would, because sometimes you literally you finish the conversation with one and you think, right, now we're on a lovely chat, now I need to find another group of people to talk to. So you turn around and then you suddenly realise you're stood on your own and you're like in the room and there's all these other groups of people and you're thinking, well, do I go up to that person over there? And also, as well, sometimes I think, well, I'm a bit reluctant. If there's a lady stood on her own and do I go up to speak to the lady on her own? Or,
am I going to come across?
How's that going to feel? How's the dynamics on that? And then you think, look, just go. Or don't be afraid. And then you sort of turn around and you think, oh, there's a group there. And I'll go and stand and say, and as soon as you stand there and you sort of huddle your way in and you're sort of like, hello. And everyone goes, oh, hello. And then all of a sudden, oh, who are you? And then it starts.
And there should be a set rule that if you don't, we're not for everybody. And what we sell is not for everybody.
Yeah.
And you should really be given permission to say, hi, lovely, but I just need to go I need to go and speak to the next person, because I monopolise people's time. I'm quite aware of that sometimes. But you should all have the confidence or be given permission to say, I just need to step away from this combo.
Yeah.
Because we're there, we forget that we're there to network, and we're there to really to try to speak to as many people in a wholesome way as we can.
Exactly.
You could have something wholesome in 2 minutes and say, let's do lunch. You might have to stand there for 15 minutes, but allowing yourself permission to move on to the next person and finding your little catchphrase, whatever that might be. You know, I was at a networking event. It was wonderful, and I was speaking to the most interesting man. My passion is travel and cars, but he was in the army. He travelled the world, and I wanted to pick his brains. He was like, "I've really enjoyed this conversation. It never happened to me before." He said, "I've really enjoyed this conversation." He said, "I really have got to go down my boom," and I thought, that's brilliant. That's brilliant that I've got to stop the conversation now, because he could tell that I would have sat there all day.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out more about him, and you meet people and they're like, interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, of course, I should have had the foresight to see that as well. So I learned a lesson that day. It's taken 4 years, but
Because generally a networking event, they're an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And, I mean, some of the events that we've been to, there might be 150 people in the room, and you sort of like, wow. And it's very easy to get trapped. And particularly if there's a lot of people and you're feeling, I mean, we don't always, some days we feel great and we feel, right, conquer the world, and you're going to burst into every conversation. And other days you're just feeling a little bit, I'm not sure. We have that imposter syndrome moment. I think, oh, really, I should be here. Like, and if I go into that group of people, like, are they going to be interesting? I mean, obviously, if we're promoting the podcast and we're talking about, like, we'd like to meet people, all the time we're walking for interesting people, and you go, oh, there's a group of accountants, so I'll avoid them, because they're going to be dollars each. Oh, that could be really interesting, but oh, that's a lawyer. No, not a lawyer. And you're looking for the dynamic people. And how do you find them when you go, oh, I've got to find the right person?
Best tip, Marion Turner from the Chamber of Commerce. Absolutely. Chamber of Commerce are just amazing.
Yeah, they are. So
they are amazing. Marion Turner is... she's so professional, and she'll speak to you at quite a speed, because she's there to do her job.
She is.
The best tip she gave me was, if you are lucky enough, the events that you book yourself onto, you get a list before. Find out who you want to talk to. Go and see Marion and say, can you introduce me to Bob, Peter and Jane?
Yep.
And she will make sure that she does that. Or if you can't monopolise her time, you just go and do it yourself, introduce you. But
this is what Mel as well give us as advice. We always, find the list.
She's
because I think as well it counts. So my comfort zone is starting to appear when I go. So my first network event, I didn't know anyone except Richard. Thanks God he was there. But you start to go and you start to see familiar faces. Once I see them and I'm like, oh. But on that last event, that even I wouldn't say it was that much networking event, probably your idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was,
for me,
it happened though, didn't it?
I couldn't believe that was me. Obviously, I was very comfortable. I've seen you, I've seen Mel. I was in my comfort zone. We sat there, we met new people, we had a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Then a lady come and obviously recognized me, and we started to talk. And then, I can't believe, because Richard started to speak with someone, and I just was like, come on, Meri, be brave. And I just went and I started conversation with one person, and then I really wanted to speak with Layla. But until we wait her to be free, I think you start a conversation with someone else. So I just made mine, because we had the eye contact. So I went there. And do you know, that day I left there and I was like, okay, I managed to do something on my own, because I always rely, we always go like, we are the podcast, we are together. And I usually, obviously, Richard is the sales guy, so he's talking and smiling as we talk. I'm the passion, he's the experience. But sometimes it's good when, I'm pushing. I was really happy that I did it, but it's sometimes you get in that thing, you go and you know the people, and you go to these people that you know. But still, you need to remember to go and reach to the ones that I wouldn't say on your target, but you highlighted them like quite interesting people to talk or eventually to make business. So there are lots of, I think you've got a personal improvement as well. You improve your personal skills as well to networking. It's not
Every
only
time.
about business, it's about your personality as well.
Come back and thought, oh no, okay. There's lots of circumstances that led you to that exact moment, but then keep repeating it, and you just, and that's how my confidence has grown. It's like, oh, okay, oh, a good tip if you had a little bit of that imposter syndrome is go to your favourites, go to your familiar faces, and say, who do you think I could work with? Who do you think might want? Oh, Bob over there playing pool, or wherever you are. And let that person that you know introduce you to somebody that they know, and then actually ask them, who's the most interesting person you know that might want to fudge for us? Oh, you won't believe, look at him in that suit, that accountant. You think he's boring, but he actually doesn't.
Yeah, well,
On the weekends,
Yeah,
exactly.
And then suddenly the door's open.
Yeah, very much so.
There's nothing wrong with an idea. I did for ages. Just migrate to the familiar face.
But how about, have you ever had a conversation you start or you are into it, but it's very not your place, or you don't feel it's awkward or something? How do you get out of it's
I think
awkward?
we've all done it, haven't we? We've all said, oh, is that the time? Or, oh, I need to use to know. Or, oh, there's Bob over there.
Just some excuse.
So you
Yeah.
actually don't know Bob.
It does happen, yeah? These are things that will happen on the journey.
And that is just a testament to your personality, because sometimes I've got friends that would never ever shut a conversation down. They would stand there for 2 hours talking about something.
But that was me before. But now I'm changed. I don't want, I think my time is, it's not like it's now, this sounds like far too precious, but especially as you said, if it's an hour and a half.
But you can still be warm, can't you? I think.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying to be rude.
We're chatting away, and I go, Leah, hope you don't mind, but I just need to go talk to John over there. and you leave it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, thank you.
Be careful with the next networking, man.
Free tickets with the
Oh, okay, I'm staying. But you do though, don't you?
Attractive. I think, oh, that would be actually would work like speed networking, because then you've got 3 minutes. You speak to the most,
boring person or something that is not.
No,
but now we talk not about boring or whatever, but as we talk before the conversation and this episode starts, where we talk about the vibes. And sometimes something is just not for you. And I mean, it's always nice to say, it's nice you met someone. For me, so far, I would say only once happened. And I was quite nice to wait the guy to talk. But yeah, he was like,
I've been caught in those. Yeah, it's difficult. It's almost as if somebody needs to rewrite the format of networking. There has to be a safe ground where you're like, okay, I just need to just move on to the next person. Not necessarily, because everyone you meet might know somebody that you need. You can't really ever rule anyone else out, but your time's so precious. I don't want to be standing next to somebody that has no conversational skills. Because then and that person could know
someone incredible.
CEO of Coca-Cola.
Yeah, exactly. You never know what's coming around the corner from that next person.
You have to give yourself permission. That does not mean that you have to put yourself through a half-an-hour conversation of an Excel sheet that then that's there has to be that balance. You can't be pig-headed enough and rule everyone out and say you're just not interested in nothing. But also you have to come away from networking like you did, thinking, well, that was great. I actually I needed to. I saw almost everyone on my list that I wanted to see and chat with. And I feel good, I've got a nice day.
And definitely you build the confidence, because there is a really big difference than your first one. There is always going to be the moment of shaking and not sure, but you start building friends, and probably everybody should depend on what you're doing. Are you business owner or young person just starting like in sales? Just give a try and go, and we can definitely, for Kent, I definitely can vote for Invicta Chambers, because I haven't met, I didn't experience a bad networking event. Everybody are really nice, welcoming. Usually they will notice that you are new in the room, but always the approach is quite good. Nobody is in a way like, oh, who you are and
But
who I
people are
am.
there for the same reason, aren't they? Everyone's there for the reason. You don't go to a networking event because you don't really want to meet people. You go there because you're really open to the whole idea. And everyone's got like a sense of purpose. I mean, when you go to a networking event, I think you have to have a sense of purpose. You have to know what you're looking for, and you're always looking for introductions to somebody. And even if you meet 3 or 4 people out of 10 people that are really valuable to you, that 3 or 4 people are 3 people that at the beginning of that day you didn't know.
No.
And that is, and growth is always gentle and organic. I mean, if you go to a networking event and you meet 20 people in the room, and all of them are key leads, well, straight away you haven't got enough time to deal with those 20 people. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you put yourself up and come and see me afterwards.
Yeah.
I totally agree with the gentle and it has to be. You can't force those. That's just an extension of your everyday. The way that you live your life and build friendships should be carried straight into how you do that with business.
Yeah.
People look for different qualities in people. If somebody's driving around in a gorgeous car, Rolex, and they're showing off and their sales and they're really driven by money, and you've got a business where you need, and they're good at what they do, and you need to pump out a certain amount of numbers, and you know that's great. But if you are a poet or or I don't know, bad example, or somebody that doesn't
This doesn't fit you.
then you have to be really aware of that, move on and nurture a different relationship. But that's human nature, and I think sometimes in business we feel that we have to be politically correct all of the time. We have to be driven by all of our morals and all of our values and have a different head on in business than we do in real life. And I don't agree with that.
When you speak about that, can we mention the conversation we had before starting intuition, and just to say a few things, obviously from your experience, from your study, and what you know about the people, that advice that your sister gave it about how we have to listen ourselves, and very often we are the ones who got this sense, and we shouldn't push it and say, oh, that's wrong. It's a good thing to acknowledge our sense and to follow them.
Well, that's just the way that I live my life, and I'm a generally happy, decent person. I'm really blessed that I can wake up and be happy each day. And I know that everyone has that, but a lot of that is all living on my intuition. A lot of it is just going with what feels right. Be natural, be honest, be open. Sometimes it's got me into trouble and I say the wrong things, and I'm very aware of that. But that's just me. I'm just trying to be authentic, and most people buy into that. Some people don't. I'm a bit too much for some people, and that's fine. I'm fine with that as well. But living on your instinct and trying to keep it natural and real is, I think, the key. So I put that into practice and seeing it come to fruition. So that's my reference. That it could be right, it could be wrong, but that comes back to what you were saying, being in that room, coming away feeling more confident. Is that the more natural and honest I was, the more work was coming in. Now that could be pure coincidence. But it might not be. It might not be pure coincidence. I just think, like you said, you could sow a seed in someone's mind and it might be another 2 years before they say, they had.
Exactly.
That's the person for you.
Yeah.
And I've left that impression that I love what I do, and being honest, and I love what you do, and I'm talking about what you do. And then that connection's there. But just living on my...
And be yourself. Once you're free and you do, lots of people mention, and we can see it, once you are yourself, as you said, you're not the cup of tea for everybody, but the right ones are coming around you. So this is the most important. And you feel happy and fulfilled, which is the great... Meet your inspiration. Let's talk about inspiration.
We got there in the end.
We have to get there, because I can ask questions to talk about networking a lot with you. Does anyone play a role of inspiration? Was a mentor for you back in the time?
Yeah. I think Chris Bouchard, my current manager, was he hates me, by the way. He's Mr. Nobody.
Older brother.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. He's great. And people like Melissa, just a little whirlwind and just kind and hardworking. Even hardworking doesn't have to be, that's not on my, that doesn't impress me, and that doesn't mean that, because I work hard and I've got myself into the ground, I work myself into
But you see the energy in somebody.
It's the energy.
Yeah.
It's the energy. You don't always have to work really hard. And I think sometimes if you have to work hard at some things, that's not something that's coming natural to you. But just people like yourself, like what you've just said about leaving that room in Canterbury, in the Boat Hotel, by the way, and coming away and you felt that you had achieved that little achievement. That inspires me, because I just think you're doing the right thing. Hearing people saying that they're doing something and doing it in a nice way, in a kind way, and they're pushing themselves a little bit, but they're getting these big results. They inspire me. To hear people be happy and positive, and speaking to people that are enjoying their job. Yeah. I know people, and I know, and it's tragic that people go into jobs every day and they hate it, and my heart bleeds for them. It does.
They go because they need the money.
Yeah.
They're just going to do a job.
Oh my God, I think that would just, for me, probably, that would be hell on earth.
Yeah.
I think you said this, Richard. Richard and I have been lucky enough to. I've tailored my life where I can. I only want to be happy. There's things that are going to happen in my life that are going to bring me great sorrow. Until that day comes, I'm going to enjoy myself. And I don't let anyone hold me back doing that. And I'm really lucky to be able to say that. But I do know people have
different circumstances.
So inspired by people's braveness, really. Is that a word?
Yeah, why not? I like it. It's a great adjective.
How you balance nowadays work and life? Because obviously you're not anymore from these people who work 7 days a week, morning to evening. And I know you go for a walk with your dogs, and you love seaside by the sounds of it as well. Yeah, I am doing some research. Yes. Is that your way? Reading books, walks. What is time with friends? What are your?
There isn't a lot of. Going back to what I said earlier, the work and life for me are the kind of the same, but in a really healthy way.
Okay.
Becomes seamless almost.
Absolutely. In this chapter of my life, for sure. It never used to be. That work, we can throw that word around, like work-life balance, but it's never meant more to me now than it does now. I've tailored my lifestyle. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have any. I have a house plant and a dog that rely on me. I don't have children, but I've really worked hard to tailor that there. That's probably my biggest achievement. So that I love what I do. And the minute I don't love what I do, I'll be doing something different. So having a little pocket of money aside, if you can, or an asset that you can sell, so that you can change that would be going back to another tip. If you can afford to do that. I know I'm making a bit of a statement here. I know not everyone has this.
No, but for everybody it's different, and of course everybody can. Funny enough, this morning I had a conversation that I don't think I've got enough of financial culture or education. I would say doesn't not I've been in the uni. Because I'm not sure I've been educated how to deal with my money. And having a younger boy, I think I'm going to try to find the right people, right books to educate him. Because one thing I've missed, and I can hear from lots of places and people that I meet, you can't rely on only one income. You should try to find your way to have something on the side that is, because everything happens. Company where you work can finish, or they can just finish contracts anyway. But we need to educate ourselves how to look after our money. And once probably we learn that in a young age, then it's not going to be that much looking after the money, because few young people as well, I'm trying to tell them, now it's your time to go and do your apprenticeships, go and do volunteer job in the weekend, go and do what you like, because then you open the doors for you to work what you like, not to be, oh, I need the money and I'm going to go and do this job and that job. Once it doesn't bring you satisfaction one or another way, it will finish. But I don't know, probably if you build and if you know how to deal with your money, and especially now in this digital world that is coming, and everybody can do it. Some are drawing, some are singing, some are writing. There is an opportunity for everyone.
I completely agree. When I was being taught, we were taught to get absorb as much information as you can, get the best results as you can, and then go and get the best job that you can. But what they teach you is to do what real life, which is water in, water out, council tax,
credit cards.
I was lucky enough to be taught by my mum, but not everyone has.
Yeah.
And I think teaching that at a very young age and is just absolutely 100% imperative. Not all, maybe not having many strings to your bow. I don't know. But my nephew, at a young age, enjoyed. I've got two nephews, they're brothers, and they're complete polar opposites. And Jordan's very, very, very independent, just like his mum. And he wanted. When we had the place in, he was between 8 and 13. That was his we used to go to Booker's to fill up on our stock. And he used to say, Mum, there's £10, can you buy a box of Twix? So we'd buy a box of Twix, he'd take you to school and he'd make money. So the £10 that he spent turned into £20. He was so
entrepreneurial. Wow.
But that's great. My brother was like that when he was young.
22, he's just bought his own house. But we always knew that he was going to do. And he lives, he's self-funded. He knew exactly how to increase his experience score so that he could and he's saving money and go without and sue. Didn't go out clubbing with his mates. He was always at home, never had takeaways. And now he's living. He'll be retired by 30. Yeah. And I'm so proud of him.
Yeah,
I'm so proud of all my nephews. But so proud that at young age he knew he liked nice things, and he knew that to get those nice things, you kind of.
How did he know that? Did yours? Just him. It's not like input from your sister or...
No, and we did the same with Jack as well. We encouraged Jack to get... Jack's super intelligent, so he's an engineer. He's an engineer now. He's about 6-figure salary.
Yeah.
Just out there. He's like on inventor level. And that's what he does, and he's happy, and we always knew Jack would be fine. Jordan, always as hard-working, very interested to buy stocks and shares when he was 13 under my sister's name. He just was always interested.
Just some people thought
it was money. It wasn't about being flash and having a fancy car.
No, but he's thinking about himself.
He's just had this self-preservation from a really young age and really independent. My sister is. Definitely rubbed off on Jordan, but a lot of that was just something in him. But when we recognised it, we would just support it. But
sounds like one of the 1%, doesn't it?
No, but this is exactly. So this is important.
Yeah, but then like coming back to what you said, even if that wasn't in him, it should be that world should be open. If you want nice things, like you want that game and that gaming machine and those fancy clothes, are we really doing them a favour by giving them those things?
You've got to incentivise the route to it.
Hard work rewards.
Because it's not their fault as well when they don't know. That's the thing that as we exactly, this is the educating, and I wouldn't say anything about the education system, although we had a few guests who got much more experience in lots of terms, and they said that unfortunately life is changing and the children nowadays, they need to have some extra, and obviously the financial education should be one of the most important, I would say, because we are coming into life and as you said, you don't know how to deal with your money.
Sure.
Doesn't matter how old you are. Have a credit card, because without credit cards you can't show
A credit history to
yes, which is from another side for some people might be a bit of tipping point.
God, my friends around me swear to live on their credit card. They think it's the best thing, and I don't. But I can absolutely see why they do. But the lack of education on my side definitely stops me having credit cards. If I knew that would then enable me to have a stronger credit position, I mean, I've been brought up, if you haven't got the money to buy it, you don't have it.
Yeah, you don't have it, yeah.
You know, but that's not the world we live in now, and you can have those nice
Yeah, but as well, it's a bit a moment that at some point this balance can become a bit too much, and then you are in debt, and then it's coming the problem.
To me is that having those lucky things, you know, we say lovely things, they're things, aren't they? Items.
Yeah.
If that makes you happy, then lovely, have those things. But what's always stops me having a credit card would be I could get a sack tomorrow.
And then what?
You know, I don't want to owe anyone to anything. That's a totally different subject. But I think just educating people if they're very good with their money, then go to them. If you intend on having wanting a mortgage at a later age, yeah, absolutely have those credit cards, pay them off, strengthen your credit score. Go down that route, but that might not be the route.
No, there are lots of different routes, but this is the encouragement. And nowadays, there are lots of information as well. There are really good books, really good people who can advise. So I would definitely say, yeah, educating is it's important, even ourselves. I am an older one, and I really need to educate myself on that.
If I could go back, I'd just need flight.
That would be your advice to yourself.
Well, only because I'm rapidly heading towards, if I'm lucky enough to live that long, retirement.
Yeah.
You know, and I haven't got the best things in place, but I know that if I had maybe gone down the route of buying a property, renting it, or even keeping that property, living in it, and just accruing equity, then my retirement would look a little bit more rosy than it does now. But who knows? I'm
of course,
just go along with the flow and see what happens.
I think the most important thing is contentment in life, isn't it? Do you know, like, because sometimes it doesn't matter, and I think, I mean, we had this conversation. I did with quite a few people. Like, you often look at people and think, well, if I had that, then I'll be happy. But when you have that, and then you want that, you know, like finding life's contentment, and actually the simplest things in life actually make such a big difference.
Just walking to the church with my dog and coming back home.
Yeah.
I feel great.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that how are you?
Because you learn the gratitude, which is so powerful.
I don't personally, just me on my personal journey, I don't need fancy things to make.
But stuff doesn't make you happy. No. Do you know what the most important thing makes you happy is, I think, is the people around you, being able to have a bit of fun, a bit of a laugh, enjoying things. And, you know, when we talk about work, we talk about things that we enjoy doing. And if you can find that inner contentment in life, wow, what a difference it makes.
Yeah, I have, and I appreciate that. And I think it's with my psychology background, I realise that people are, you know, they do struggle on a chemical level. They are depressed. They are low, and I'm so lucky that I can wake up and think, yay, bye.
But this is again a choice.
Well, not always. I mean,
sometimes, some, but there are as well people that they wake up, they're absolutely fine, healthy.
Yeah. I'm going to be
everything they've got, but again, they wake up and they found out that, okay, today is raining and that's it. Okay, it's raining, but it may start sunshine after an hour, you know. It's
right, yeah. And
let's go out.
It's a blessing, though, when you know you're a happy person. Of all the gifts that I could be given, health and being happy, that's it for me.
Is there any habit that you've got or on a daily basis that you would
recommend
challenge our audience to try to do? Is there any routine that you've got when you're
walking the dog is probably your habit of the day.
I've got to say, my sister is my hero. I would go to the end of ocean. I would dive there. She's my inspiration. She had 2 young children. Her husband passed away, and she a few years later she got into a relationship and she decided it needed to end as the quality, showed a quality that didn't work with her family dynamic. And every morning, I'm like, okay, you're right. After about 3 weeks, can you just stop this now? So my husband died in my arms. Like, nothing's ever going to get worse than that. Yeah. I'm absolutely fine. Yeah. And my sister she is something else to me. And when she speaks, I listen. And if ever I have a quandary or I'm not in the right place, I'll just speak to her. And she'll give me a little nugget of something. But long story short is that the way she comes across and lives her life, she's absolutely just there's no negativity in her. She won't even sit in a conversation where somebody is being derogatory towards somebody or gossiping. I never partake in gossip. I don't believe in gossip. I think it's very detrimental, and it can drain energy and all that. I'm not really, I don't want you to think I'm this spiritual tree. Yeah. I'm not. I'm really, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you are, I just think just be decent, be nice, try to find the silver lining. Yeah. I'd always say, especially in our family, oh, it's right, it's been a car accident on the M6, I can't get to you, or the car's not working, I can't get to you this weekend. It's all right, that you were never meant to come down. The universe has made that happen. So I always try to find the silver lining. I think just being grateful, being half decent, being nice, and being brave enough to say, that's not nice, actually. Yeah, can I shut this conversation down because actually you're being quite negative and I don't know this person and you're talking about this person in a negative way and being like, I don't know.
I love that.
I'm not one for...
No, I love it because I would say that now when you said about the car, I remember last year, March, April, I had a problem with my car, suddenly stopped working, and it was for a month or over a month in the garage. And for me this is needed every day to go to work and come back. And do you know what, usually I would start to get, years ago I would start to get, oh, why to me, it's always me. This time I can't believe how I just accepted it. And I said, okay, it is what it is. I'll find a way out.
But everyone stepped up around you.
It was, really sweet around me, people. There was someone giving me a lift, my husband picking me up, dropping me, friends helping. And somehow it all works.
It happened.
I don't know. I think it was like 5-6 weeks. I didn't have a car, but I've been to work, I've been back. My child was safe and he was home. Everything works. And it's like at the end of it, I sort out my problem, everything back on the track.
Sometimes you do have to accept stuff.
Exactly. It felt much better when, rather than me, what I'm going to change once I sit down and from morning till evening go,
I love that.
It is what it is.
Don't forget that you are the lovely person. I'm sure you've helped all the people that helped you. You have helped them as well. So it comes, it definitely comes back around. If you'd gone through life being horrid to everybody, maybe you might.
Maybe, yeah.
You walk to work.
But leave car,
with no sides.
Probably there is that. But this is again the point that how we accept the things. And
I'm a really big thinker, and I love philosophy, and I love social element of where we fit in society, and people watch and think about what I do and what other people do and why they do it, and I think sometimes just surrendering and saying we can't control everything in our life, we just can't. And I think when you push against that, it doesn't sit right. You're like, Matt, it enrages you on a level that disrupts your everyday running, whatever level that is, whatever level you function on. If something's not working, it's a bit out of your routine. The car not working. It's just like.
But in the meantime, you realize how much you rely on these 4 wheels. It makes you to appreciate after that when you jump, even to go to the shop. It's like, it's much better when I've got it.
Your thought process is like, son needs to go to school. I need to get the shopping. Who's going to pick her up? And then you think, this is the time where I probably should put some money aside for maybe pay for fully comp and have a fully comp insurance. You can have a spare car, a courtesy car, all these little things, but they're just everyday life tasks that all of us, we think that we're on our unique journey that no one else experiences. Everybody does it.
Yeah, everyone's going through the same.
Yeah, when you're chirpy and someone else is chirpy, you're like, I love that. Because I know that they've got the same struggles as I have. So it's...
And it's especially warming when someone radiates that positive energy, even when they're going through a difficult time. Because the hardest thing in life is actually surrounding yourself with people who are constantly negative and drain you to the end.
Keep draining you down.
And you're like, really, just
drains, radiators.
Yeah, sit by the radiator. Always sit by the warm radiator.
Try to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to support somebody at the moment who's really not in a good place, and I'm getting nothing back. It's like really on a level of rudeness, but I just think I will. They're always the glasses empty, and our glasses half full. And I think, well, if you can just impart a little bit of positivity onto somebody, if you keep doing it and trying,
eventually they might just trigger.
Or not. I know.
But you probably make a difference. You probably don't realise it. They wouldn't say it to you because...
Well, actually.
I'm sure they do.
But I'll just be,
They're probably
yourself.
Done.
Oh, I do love it when the Yan comes round. She always just lifts me up a little bit. I don't tell her, but
You can.
Oh, God.
I don't.
So I can say you light us up today. You light up this room today, and we absolutely enjoyed this conversation. Thank you very much. Thank you. Morris, probably you have to come again and we can talk about psychology a bit more. Yeah.
Yes.
You will.
I took far too. Janelle.
Okay, next year. Well,
If you get invited, come on over. Not only are they lovely, but the venue is stunning. And am I allowed to say lunch?
You can.
Yeah.
Thank you very much here for coming. We will share a little bit of information about your lovely place if anyone is interested, of course,
I'm sure
to have a look. But yeah, please go and check what they did with the Google. It's amazing.
Exactly.
And yeah, thank you very much one more time. Have a lovely day, and yeah.
Thank you both.
So everyone, thank you very much for watching our podcast today. We hope you've enjoyed Leigh's little story and our little chats as we've been going through everything. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do give us a like. We really appreciate that. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, we would massively appreciate a subscribe. It's just that little button up there. Just hit it and just give it a push. We'd really appreciate that. If you happen to be watching on Spotify, please do give us a follow. We hope you've really enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully you'll look at there's probably 1 or 2 episodes either side on this final screen. So do click one of those and have a watch and see what else we've been up to. Hope you have a really great day, and we'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.